studying the Scarlet Letter. This girl named Hester Prynne has an affair with the minister, is besmirched, and made to wear a red A for adulterer.
Perhaps you should embroider a red A on your wardrobe.
I'm not proud of this.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas.
No judgment.
A movie where Emma Stone basically just says, I'm here and I'm not going away anytime soon, and I will see you when I win my 2 Oscars in the next 15 years, and rightfully so, because, yeah, she's turned out to be a pretty damn good actress, and not just the Jonah Hill's girlfriend from Superbad that took a big hit on the head for that role. But here she plays clean-cut high schooler Oliver Pendergast, and is overstricken by a strict Christian classmate played by Amanda Bynes. And this was the movie that everyone thought that Amanda Bynes was going to come back after the years of being struggling with, addiction and all that, and then sadly, it wasn't the case. It was never meant to be, but insinuating that she lost her virginity over the weekend. Rumors began to spread, leading Olive to later pretend that she slept with her gay friend, played by Courtney Cox's son on Cougar Town, Dan Bird, to help convince the school he is straight in order to help him fend off homophobic bullies. Several bullies learn what she has done and beg her to perform the same for them, helping to benefit from their lost virginities. Excuse me. This eventually turns into a full-fledged business, lucrative and socially beneficial for Olive, enough so to gain the ire of her rival, Marianne, who doesn't like the attention she's getting. Olive's life begins to resemble that of Hester Prynne and Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. Olive then decides to use the rumors to her own advantages, affixing a red A to her clothing in reference to the embattled heroine of the novel. However, the glamour and mystery quickly deteriorates, and Olive must figure out how to reclaim her good reputation. Every decade you get that one good high school movie, and sometimes you get more than that. In the 80s it was Fast Times at Ridgemont High, in the 90s it was Dazed to Confused and Clueless, in the 2000s it was Mean Girls. This is that movie for this decade. I have not seen a movie in a long time where I liked everybody in this movie. I even liked characters I wasn't supposed to like. I liked the bitchy Christian people in this movie. I thought they were a ton of fun. Everybody in this movie delivers strong performances. Emma Stone is great in here. So is Amanda Bynes. And, Alison Mashaka coming off of her time on Phil of the Future. And she's great in the movie, too, playing Stone's best friend in here. Stanley Tucci and Patricia Clarkson are great as the parents to Olive. Thomas Hayden Church has some good laughs. Malcolm McDowell's the best I've seen him in a long time. I completely forgot Lisa Kudrow's in this movie. She doesn't show up until halfway through. But yeah, she was pretty good overall, although her story kind of felt a little unnecessary. It felt like it was tacked on, when it really could have been held for something else entirely. But there are a lot of great laughs with this movie. It never gets boring. It never gets old. It has some of the best end credits I've seen in a while. This is directed by the guy who did Fired Up, Will Gluck, who would later go on to direct stuff like Peter Rabbit, and turned out to be a pretty solid comedy director as a whole. This is a terrific film. I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. This is definitely one of the year's best films, no question about it. If you haven't seen it, Easy A is definitely worth checking out. So,
there's one thing you should know about me. I specialize in a very specific type of security. Subconscious security.
You talking about dreams? Mr. Carl has a job offer he would like to discuss with you.
Like a work placement?
Not exactly. Recreate the world of the dream. You bring the subject into that dream, and they fill it with their secrets.
Then you break in and steal it.
Well, it's not strictly speaking legal. It's called Inception. Already. I think I found a way home. And this last job, that's how I get there. Dreams feel real while we're in them. It's only when we wake up that we realize something is actually strange.
This is your responsibility. You're not prepared for this. Dreams collapsing.
have it under control. I'd hate to see out of control.
You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
I mean, what more can you say after that? Welcome to Time About the Movies, and two big movies today as we look at the two films of July 16, 2010. None bigger than Christopher Nolan's long-anticipated follow-up to The Dark Knight, and that is Inception, in which we have Leonardo DiCaprio starring as Dom Cobb, a thief who enters the dreams of people to steal ideas from them. The things he's done has cost him a lot of things, most notably his children and his dead wife, played by Marion Cotillard. A man named Solito, played by Ken Watanabe, comes in and tells him he wants to put an idea inside a man named Robert Fisher, played by Cillian Murphy, and with the help of Cobb's team, including Arthur, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, a college student named Aridane, played by Ellen Page, an architect named Nash, played by Lucas House, and a forger named Eames, played by Tom Hardy. They must put the idea in his mind before it's too late. And really, that trailer kind of gives you a good sum up of what you're going to get from the movie, because the movie is fucking amazing. This is probably my third or fourth favorite movie of the year. I'd have to double check after the year is over, but yeah, this is definitely one of the highlights of the year. It's not a perfect movie, but it's a movie that works nearly 95% of the time. What about that 5%? Let's talk about the three main problems I have with the movie, and one of them is kind of with Marion Cotillard as the villain. I mean, I like her as an actress. I've seen her in some good movies, but this was just around that time when some of these movies were trying way too hard to get these people who clearly should not be playing villainous roles and proving that they can't really make it work. There's some that can make it. There's more than a couple that can make it work. Ava Green, for example, is somebody who can make a good villainous person work. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Ava Green is somebody who could play a villainous role and make it work. Marion Cotillard is somebody that I just didn't feel like really fit the mold as the villain. I mean, they did this not once but twice in Christopher Nolan movies, because she's also kind of a villain in The Dark Knight Rises that comes out after this, and I just didn't feel like her performance in this as the antagonist really didn't work all that well. Not to say she's bad in here. She's okay, but it's just kind of like, when she has to play the villain, it just didn't work for me. Two, the quick character development of Ellen Page's character. I know they have to move the story along, but when they introduce her, they don't even give us a minute to really get to know the character. They just kind of throw her in there, and like we're supposed to already know who she is. I mean, this isn't like when Aaron Eckhart or, Maggie Gyllenhaal gets introduced in The Dark Knight, because they're playing characters that we know about. We don't know anything about this character per se. That scene in the trailer is literally the first time we see her. It's just like I don't want to see a long scene in particular, but you could have had it a little bit longer than that. I mean, then again, it could have been worse. They could have done it like the flower shop scene in The Room, where Tommy Wiseau goes in there. It's just like, just goes on this long, continuous dialogue tribe, and just like, nobody has any time to take a break or anything. It's just like, yeah, can I have a dozen red roses, please? Oh, hi, Johnny, I didn't know you were there. Here you go. That's me. Hi, here's some money. Keep the change. Hi, doggy. You're my favorite customer. Thanks a lot. Bye. Like, at least they didn't do that in particular. And the biggest problem I have with the movie is the ending. Not even for the last shot of the movie with the totem, but in the end, when everybody's waking up from all 4 or 5 different dreams. Like, some people have died, some people have decided to stay in the dream, then all of a sudden everybody's on the plane alive, and I'm wondering to myself, what the hell happened? Didn't one of those guys say if you die in Inception, you die for real? I mean, it took me time to really think about it, because that was my first time watching it the first time. But then when I went back to it, I still felt like that there was still something missing there. Like, it just didn't feel like I don't know, the way the end of the mission overall kind of was lacking in general. It's a cool looking sequence, everybody waking up through all these different forms of the dream and all that, but I just didn't feel like they really had a good motivation towards the end of how to finish that up there. But again, that's only some of the stuff I didn't like about the movie, but there is a lot I did like. The acting is great overall. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, Ellen Page, Ken Watanabe, Cillian Murphy, Marion Cotillard. I mean, the standouts in here are Gordon-Levitt and Tom Hardy. I mean, this is the movie that really shows that both of them were on their way to great careers, especially Tom Hardy. Look at what he's done since then. And also Joseph Gordon-Levitt, too. I mean, you gotta love him. I mean, the guy very rarely makes a bad move on his part. Even then, he's not the worst thing about those bad things, but the story overall is a good idea. Entering somebody's dreams so they can plant an idea in there, and that's a good idea for a story. And the visuals are top notch. These are very good visuals. I mean, this is stuff that still holds up 15 years later. It's just like, whoa, like how, like you would think it would have gotten old by by now, but no, 15 years later, that shit still holds up big time. And yeah, it would have been interesting if they shot this in 3D, because, you know, this was part of that big 3D trend in general. I'm actually kind of surprised we haven't gotten some real bad post-production 3D, which is probably why they didn't do it. They probably didn't do it because they were already shooting the film, and, you know, they didn't know how good post-production 3D was going to be, so Christopher Nolan probably went, yeah, we'll steer away from that. Actually, come to think of it, I don't think he's ever done a 3D movie. I don't know if Interstellar counts as a 3D film. Maybe not. Maybe he's never done a 3D film before. Maybe that's why it's probably for the best, though, because like I said, post-production 3D we've seen already with a couple of movies don't really work all that well, and yeah, that's probably the smartest move not to do that, but I do like the film overall. There are slim problems overall, but it's still a great original movie, which is very rare to get at this point during the summer season, and especially nowadays. I mean, even the original movies now this summer have not done very well, unfortunately. Seriously, go see Elio if you have not seen that already. But Christopher Nolan delivers another winner, man. I mean, this is like The Prestige. It's a movie that makes you think and gives you a good, entertaining movie with a lot of good talent all across the board. I mean, it's a really damn good movie. This is right up there with Christopher Nolan's best movies. It's easily one of the best movies of the year. And again, another movie that should have won the Best Picture and not named The King's Speech. And trust me, I'm going to keep bringing that up here because I'm sorry, The King's Speech is the worst Best Picture winner ever. But we will save that until we get to that movie's release. But
Vikings have always fought dragons.
Look at that thing! The size of my head! Get it off!
But he has another idea.
Nice dragon. Okay.
On March 26th,
I've decided I don't want to fight dragons.
You really had me going there, son.
their world
What are you gonna do?
Something stupid.
will never be the same.
You're crazy.
I like that.
DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon in 3D, rated PG, March 26th.
welcome to Time About the Movies. And as I said before, this is probably one of the best. This is probably arguably the best week for movies in 2010, and maybe one of the best weeks for movies ever, because we got 4 really good movies on March 26, 2010 that were released. All really good movies, and start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, and easily probably my favorite of the bunch. That is How to Train Your Dragon. Based off the series of books of the same name, this is DreamWorks Animation's latest film, and it follows the story of a mythical Viking world where a young Viking teenager named Hiccup, played by Jay Baruchel, aspires to follow his tribe's tradition of becoming a dragon slayer. After finally capturing his first dragon and with his chance of at last of gaining the tribe's acceptance, he finds that he no longer wants to kill the dragon and instead befriends it. That dragon, of course, is this guy right over here. This little guy right here, Toothless. I have my plush that I had from the last movie review I did for How to Train Your Dragon 3, but I can't find it anywhere. So just pretend that this is him, because yeah, as you can see, I really do love this movie to the point where I bought merchandise like this, and I showed you the plush I got at Walmart a couple of days ago, which I'll show you that now if you didn't see that. See? Just picked this up at Walmart a couple of days ago for $10. It's, of course, for the new movie, which is coming out not but a couple of days after this gets posted. The first time the movie was posted, but excuse me. But if you're watching this after the fact, you probably don't know. But yeah, this is coming out a couple of days before the new movie comes out. But overall, yeah, this movie is one where it's one that I really love the hell out of it. I'll be honest, when I first saw the trailers for it, I didn't really get excited for it or anything. I mean, it didn't really wow me when those trailers came out. But I felt kind of the same way about Toy Story 3, and we all saw what happened with Toy Story 3 later on. I didn't think the trailers for those movies in particular were really that incredible or really that amazing, but then again, this is Chris Sanders. Chris Sanders is, of course, the guy who gave us Lilo and Stitch, and also Dean DeBlois, who also did Lilo and Stitch, and also is working on the new live-action remake. But when it comes to these type of movies, Chris Sanders really is that guy who can take something that doesn't seem like it should work and just create some memorable characters out of all the movies that he's involved in. I mean, Lilo and Stitch, you know, Stitch is one of my is my favorite Disney character. How to Train Your Dragon, where you got this guy right here, this little guy right here. The Croods, great characters in that movie. Even The Call of the Wild, which did not get the best reception overall. I mean, that movie is great to me. I really like that one a lot, especially because you do get invested in Buck overall, the dog in that movie. Even though he's CG, there's still a lot about him to admire because Chris Sanders is putting a lot of the work into that. And at this point, DreamWorks had never made a really terrible movie. The only exception was Shark Tale, which I've talked about before, but this movie really is one of the strongest movies that they've ever done. I mean, there's so much to admire about the movie. The animation, the visuals are incredible. The voice work is really good. I mean, you cannot get a better cast for this than Jay Baruchel as Hiccup, America Ferrera as Astrid. You know, you got T.J. Miller, Kristen Wiig, Christopher Mintz-Plasse as the other kids, Gerard Butler as his father, Craig Ferguson as why am I blanking on his name? The guy Nick Frost plays in the remake. Gobbler the blacksmith in that movie. And, you know, just an incredible cast overall. Great characters overall. The characters in this are just so memorable and so very well done. The 3D in this movie, it's absolutely incredible. The 3D in this movie, the flying sequences in here, still take my breath away even after all these years. Like, watching this on a big screen and seeing those 3D flying scenes for the first time, it just really felt like you were in there. Like, you felt like you were on a ride at Universal Studios, which, you know, it really, you know, that's what it really felt like. And I really don't think this new movie coming up this week really is going to do all that. I mean, I have my trepidations about it, but this was a movie that shows why animation just works, and I don't think the live-action remake coming up is going to be able to hold a cake compared to what this movie did. You also like the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless. I mean, the villagers call him the Night Fury, but Hiccup calls him Toothless, and that really is the crux that holds this movie together. Their relationship in the movie and how they slowly but surely start to come together, and they immediately connect with one another. I mean, it's hard to believe that this is right up there with some of Pixar's best work. I mean, this is right when Pixar was just a film away from starting its slight downfall with Cars 2 the following year. But this was the first movie that really showed that DreamWorks could make a really good movie to be up there with Pixar in general. And they did a great job with this film. This is a great movie. The movie is just a ton of fun. It's kick-ass. The 3D is amazing. There's so much to enjoy about it. It's one of the best animated films they've ever done, and at the beginning of one of the best trilogies they've ever done. The trilogy as a whole is great. It's a lot of fun. It's a really enjoyable series of films, and it's just, what more can I say, man? How to Train Your Dragon is a great, great movie, plain and simple. So
I have a fight next week. After I win, I'm gonna start making good money so you can live many more days.
Good luck, Daddy.
Don't hold your breath, Casey.
Bye, baby. Time magazine says The Fighter is Rocky, plus The Blind Side, plus The Departed, but it's more satisfying than any of them.
Mickey has a chance to do something that I never did, and he needs me.
Okay, I'll see you in Mickey's corner.
It's one of the best films of the year.
This is my shot. I won't get another one after this.
The Fighter, rated R, in theaters December 17th.
And yes, I realize how awkward this is wearing it now after the news of what broke a couple of hours ago of Stephen Colbert's Late Show getting canceled because of financial decisions. But we'll save that for the Reviewing Network Live. But anyway, I bring this up because this is also a Paramount movie too. The Fighter. David O. Russell directed this movie, and it's about the lives of professional boxers Mickey Ward, played by Mark Wahlberg, and his older half-brother and former boxer Dickie Edlin, played by Christian Bale. It's inspired by the 1995 documentary High on Crack Street, Lost Lives in the Well. And for David O. Russell, this was a pretty big deal, because after I Heart Huckabees and the controversy behind that movie, what happened behind the scenes of that, it was hard for him to get work overall, and most people thought his career was pretty much over and done with. But then, all of a sudden, this movie comes along, and all of a sudden, his career is back on track, because he would pretty much own the rest of the decade with the movies that he would make, and you can see why this movie is so good. I mean, you have a great script by Scott Silver, Paul Tomasi, and Eric Johnson, along with great performances by all the stars in here. Everybody in here is great. Mark Wahlberg, in a role that, again, should have gotten him an Academy Award instead of Colin Firth. Amy Adams, Melissa Leo won an Academy Award for this performance, which was really good. And Christian Bale, I mean, Christian Bale was excellent in the movie. As much as Mark Wahlberg's great, Christian Bale was just so transcendent and so incredible playing the role of Dickie Edlin. He really cemented that role and made it his own, and he just made it work so well. He was so good in here. Like, he really is the thing that transforms this movie in general. I mean, this is going back to what he did for The Machinist in terms of a performance where he just transforms into this completely other person altogether. This isn't the same guy who's Batman. This isn't the same guy who's Patrick Bateman. Like, this is a performance that you get a lot of flashbacks to what he did with The Machinist, and it just plays so well here. And you can see why he won the Oscar, because he just knocks it out of the park. He's the one thing you remember the most out of this movie. Even though everybody else in the movie is absolutely great, his performance really is the big standout in this movie. And this is just such a terrific film. A great return to form for David O. Russell when he needed it the most. The Fighter. What more can you say about it? The Fighter was one of the year's best movies, and it's not hard to see why.
In your years as U.S. Marshal, how many men have you shot?
Shot or killed?
Tom Chaney killed my father, and I need somebody to go after him. Can we depart this afternoon?
Wait.
I'm a Texas Ranger. It is at least a two-man job taking Chaney alive.
I hope you not regret shooting your father.
What is your intention?
I mean to kill you today.
Help me.
I can do nothing for you, son.
Rated PG-13, December 22nd.
This is, of course, based off of the 1969 John Wayne movie that won him the Academy Award for Best Actor, and the novel by Charlie Portis. And in this film, it revolves around the 14-year-old girl named Maddie Ross, now played by Haley Steinfeld in her feature film debut, seeking revenge for the death of her father by Tom Chaney, played by Josh Brolin. To get revenge for her father's death, she seeks out Rooster Cogburn, played by Jeff Bridges, and Texas Ranger LaBeouf, played by Matt Damon, to assist her in getting revenge. Now, at the time I saw this movie, I didn't see the 1969 movie, but you know, I mean, it's you know who John Wayne is. I mean, my grandmother was loved John Wayne so much. She had pictures in her house for the longest time, and when she eventually passed away, she still had those pictures, and we were able to bring them into our home too. But I mean, what more can you say about John Wayne? I've seen the movie since then, and it's a classic movie, a great Western all across the board, and you know, this one was really interesting because I thought at the time that the remake's really good. I mean, this is a really good movie. It will probably not as good as the original, but having seen both of them, I gotta admit, this is definitely one of the best, if not one of the best remakes I've ever made. Like, this is a movie that is right up there with the original True Grit. I mean, this is a movie where Jeff Bridges gives another great standout performance as Rooster Cogburn. I really would have liked to have seen her get another Oscar for this. And Haley Steinfeld, you know, we know what she is nowadays. She starred in the Pitch Perfect movies. She was just in Sinner. She's Gwen Stacy in the Spider-Verse movies. She's proven her worth as an actress time and time again. You get great performances by Josh Brolin and Matt Damon. They're kind of the lesser parts of the movie, but overall they're really good. The shooting sequences are very well done. It really is a great movie that fits so well for what the Coen brothers should bring to the table. This is really one of their best movies that they've done, up there with The Big Lebowski and No Country for Old Men and Fargo. This is definitely high up there with some of their best movies, easily, and one that I really think should have gotten a Best Picture Oscar. I mean, it really is one of the best movies of the year, and again, another great movie that was much better than the actual Best Picture winner in The King's Speech. I'm sorry I keep harping on this, but I'm sorry. The King's Speech is not a good movie. Plain and simple, so.
Stars, an instant classic.
My daughter, the Swan Queen.
Black Swan is outlandishly entertaining.
Just want to be perfect.
I want to see passion. Attack it.
Natalie Portman delivers a dazzling tour de force that makes her an instant leading contender in every Best Actress race.
What happened to my sweet girl? She's gone.
Director Darren Aronofsky soars to new heights with Black Swan. It's a masterpiece. Black Swan, rated R. In select theaters December 10th.
You know, this is one of those movies where I have that thing where if I wish this movie would have come out in 2010, because I probably would have seen this and I really would have had this as my favorite movie of the year, but no. This is one of those movies that opened in limited release in December, and you had to wait until after New Year's for the movie to get to a local theater, which happened to me. And sadly, this did not make my top 10 list for 2010, but I would have put it on there had I seen it that year, because it is that really good of a movie, and maybe Darren Aronofsky's best film overall. It revolves around a production of Swan Lake by a ballet company in New York, and the production requires a ballerina to play both the innocent white swan and the sensual black swan. And one dancer, played by Natalie Portman, is a perfect fit for the white swan, while another, played by Mila Kunis, has a personality that matches the black swan. When the two compete for the parts, Nina finds a dark side to herself, Nina being played by Natalie Portman. And this is an incredible masterpiece of a movie. This is one of those movies that, like I said, should have won Best Picture at the Oscars, but no, we had to give it to the safest, most blandest movie to date. I'm trying to keep my hatred towards The King's Speech out of these other reviews, but I'm sorry, I can't help it when a great movie like this is getting shunned to the side for regurgitated slop. But But Natalie Portman does give a great performance that did give her a well-deserved Academy Award. I really thought Mila Kunis probably should have gotten nominated too. I mean, she should have gotten a nomination for Best Supporting Actress because she was just as good as Natalie Portman was in this movie. I mean, it's easier to just look at Mila Kunis as, oh, that actress from that '70s show and Family Guy. When you look at her movies, it's just like she has shown time and time again how good of an actor she can really be, and this is definitely one of, if not her strongest performance to date. Vincent Cassel, I think, does a very good job as the dance instructor. Barbara Hershey's pretty good playing the mother. Winona Ryder is the only one that kind of felt like she wasn't really used all that well. She's barely in the movie, and the little bit she's in, she really doesn't do anything that impressive overall. I mean, she's kind of upstaged by everybody else in there, but it felt like they threw her in there just because, hey, she's Winona Ryder, she's a recognizable name, and she doesn't feel like she's needed in this movie in particular, but like I said, it doesn't take away from the film in general. Darren Aronofsky, I think, does a great job directing this, giving this film this unique visual style to it. I mean, the last 25 minutes alone, when you have Natalie Portman's character hitting the height of her hallucinations, and while the play is going on, like, it's legitimately terrifying. It turns into somewhat of a horror film, kind of a precursor to what The Substance kind of would be like later on, or like a David Cronenberg movie. I mean, the creepiest parts coming together in this movie are when she turns into a swan while she's doing the performance. Her neck starts to expand, her toes come together, and at the same time, these visuals in this are absolutely incredible to look at, and it's just something that once you see it, it's never leaving the back of your brain, no matter how hard you try. I mean, this movie is an amazing film. Great performances, great visuals, terrifying elements, incredible direction, a great Oscar-winning performance by Portman. Kunis and Cassel were great as well. This is Darren Aronofsky's best movie, in my personal opinion. He's made a lot of great movies, but this is definitely the high mark for him as the director as a whole. This is easily one of the best movies of the year. A great film that should have won another one that should have won Best Picture, but you know that story already, so.
Here you go.
No, wait.
How do you do this thing where you manage to get all girls to hate us? I think I've come up with something. That looks good. That looks really good. Welcome to Facebook. Who are the girls?
Hey, hello.
$1 million isn't cool. You know what's cool? $1 billion.
You mean Facebook?
Yeah, groupies.
This is our time.
The social network.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. As we begin the month of October and essentially the fall movie season, we're taking a look at the 3 films released on October 1st, 2010. And of course, the biggest new release of the weekend is, of course, The Social Network. On a fall night in 2003, Harvard undergrad and computer programming expert Mark Zuckerberg, played by Jesse Eisenberg, sits down at his computer and begins working on a new idea. In a fury of blogging and programming, what begins in his dorm room soon becomes a global social network and a revolution in communication. A mere 6 years and 500 million friends later, Mark Zuckerberg is the youngest billionaire in history, but for this entrepreneur, success leads to both personal and legal complications. And there's no really need to sugarcoat it. This movie's freaking incredible. I've talked about the sequel they're doing now on Reviewing Network Live, and yeah, I don't think it's a necessary sequel, but I'd be interested to see what happens to the 15 years since this movie came out. But the movie overall is really good, and it works because everybody is casted in this so well. Jesse Eisenberg is pitch perfect as Mark Zuckerberg, and I felt like he should have been the one that should have gotten an Oscar for this, and not Colin Firth, but that's a whole other thing altogether when we get to the King's Speech. But Justin Timberlake's pretty good, too. Was it me, or did it remind me a lot of watching Neil Patrick Harris on How I Met Your Mother? Like, he kind of had that Barney Stinson type of vibe to him. I thought at first it was Neil Patrick Harris, but I realized that it was Justin Timberlake. And, hey, guy's got some acting chops in here, and he actually is doing more in this than he did in something like The Southland Tales or The Love Guru. But Andrew Garfield, who got casted as Spider-Man because of this, and you can see why. He's great as Eduardo. Second big movie for him this fall after Never Let Me Go. Rooney Mara, you can see why she got picked for the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake because she worked so well, and got to work with David Fincher again. Brenda Song, a lot of people know her from her Disney Channel years. She was pretty good for the brief bit she was in. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I think the strongest of the supporting cast overall was Rashida Jones, who I thought was going to be misused, but she is really good here playing Mark's lawyer, and the last scene with her and Eisenberg is brilliantly done. Of course, Armie Hammer's really good as the Winklevoss twins in a dual role. It shows the potential that he had as an actor. everybody in here played their parts very well. Sorkin, I think, did a great job with the script. It won him the Oscar, and he's still one of our great writers out there. And David Fincher, you know, coming off of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, as well as Seven and Fight Club, the guy has really missed. And this is a film where he just knocks it out of the park once again. If there's one problem I have with it, it's a nitpicky thing. It got a little too dark sometimes. And I'm not talking about the film's subject matter. I'm talking about the film itself. The movie just felt like it was way too dark, that you could barely see anything in the nighttime scenes. And it's just, you know, I had a problem with that with Benjamin Button, too. Parts of that were a little bit too dark for their own good, but it didn't stop my overall enjoyment of the film, much like happened in this, is with this film. It's a great movie. The Social Network definitely is one of the year's best films. It shows that David Fincher is on a hot streak right now. And, yeah, excellent, excellent film.
People get up every day, tell them something going to change their lives. They never do. This is the last one. We hit pause after this.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. As I said, we're looking at 7 movies on the September 17th, 2010, so let's just get right to it with the biggest new release of the weekend, and the best one, in my opinion, The Town, in which you have 4 masked men and bank robbers, played by Ben Affleck, Jeremy Renner, Slane, and Owen Burke, making a living robbing banks. At their most recent bank robbery, they take a bank manager, played by Rebecca Hall, hostage. After they escape, they realize that they have her driver's license, and they also realize that she lives 4 blocks from them. After meeting her in a laundrette to make sure she doesn't talk to the FBI, Doug, played by Affleck, starts hanging out with her, not knowing that he's actually one of the bank robbers. Meanwhile, an FBI agent, played by John Hamm, is in charge of the case surrounding the recent robbery, and he eventually surveys the crew at a cookout following leads that point to their involvement. He eventually surveys the crew at a cookout, and realizes that they are all working for Fergus Fergie Colm, played by Pete Postlethwaite, in what I believe is one of his last film performances. I think he might have died before this or after this movie came out. I think it was afterwards. Let me take a look. It was right afterward. It was just before it was just after the year got started in 2011. But you also have Chris Cooper playing Doug's father, Stephen, and Blake Lively playing Jim's sister and Doug's ex-lover, Krista, who has a kid with Doug. And they're just part of the reasons why this is one of the best movies of the year. This is right up there with some of the best films that came out in 2010. I mean, this is a film that just shows how far Ben Affleck has come in the years since, you know, his infamous year of Jersey Girl, Geely, Paycheck, Surviving Christmas. I mean, he's back in full form, man, and this is a film that really put him on the map and really should have been a heavy Oscar contender. But sadly, the only one that got an Oscar nomination was Jeremy Renner. But I say sadly like it's a bad thing. But Jeremy Renner was good in the movie, but Ben Affleck should have gotten some love at this point. But hey, it'll work out with his next movie with Argo. But the casting overall is great in here. Rebecca Hall, John Hamm, Chris Cooper, Pete Postlethwaite. The breakout here is Blake Lively, who really comes into her own after years on Gossip Girl, and, you know, she's somebody that, you know, she really shows her what she can do as an actress as a whole, and she makes it work very well. And it has one of the best climaxes I've seen since The Departed. I mean, there's so many comparisons to The Departed here, and it's really hard not to see why. This is a really good movie that very much is in line with The Departed. A great car chase, one of the best ones I've seen in a long, long time. Fantastic imagery that you see in the trailer, that scene where the robbers are just driving in the car in nun masks with rifles, and this kid is just watching them. It's a chilling scene that got me back then, and it still gets me to this very day. It's a tense, chilling, fantastic film. Everything about the movie works. This is a fantastic film, and hard to believe, this is actually, I think, better than Inception. I think this is actually just a little bit ahead of Inception, but that movie's great too. But The Town, definitely high up there. It's one of my favorite films of the year. Great, great movie.
Discover a love story about a boy.
So this is a date, eh? Did I say date? Slip the tongue. Tongue.
A girl.
Garlic bread is my favorite food. I could honestly eat it for every meal. Bread makes you fat. Bread makes you fat?
And her 7 evil exes.
Yeah. Wait, what?
7 evil exes coming to kill you, controlling Ramona's love life?
Whoops.
From the director of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead.
Next time, don't date the girl with the loving evil ex-boyfriend.
So really?
Oh, that's not that bad.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Like I said, this is my favorite movie of the year next to Toy Story 3. I mean, Toy Story 3 and Scott Pilgrim, it really is back and forth of which one I really like that much more. I mean, I like both of them just as much. This is, of course, based off of the graphic novel series of the same name by Brian Lee O'Malley, and it stars Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim, who falls in love with a girl named Ramona Flowers, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And Scott finds out that the hard way that he has to defeat Ramona's 7 evil exes brought together by Ramona's last boyfriend, played by Jason Schwartzman. And this is what Edgar Wright does so well as a director. This is easily his best film. As the guy that gave us Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. And this is one of the best movies I've seen. I saw that year. I mean, this is a movie where it does kind of start off slow with the relationship between Scott and Knives Chow, who's very good here, played by Ellen Wong, and how he first meets Ramona. But the second Ramona's first evil ex comes in, and Scott Pilgrim has no idea what he has to do except beat the shit out of him. That's where the movie took off, and it's just like, okay, I am now officially yours, because this movie is pretty friggin' amazing. The visuals, fantastic to look at. A brilliant all-star cast. Anna Kendrick, Chris Evans, Brandon Routh, Mae Whitman, Brie Larson, Allison Pill, Johnny Simmons, Aubrey Plaza. All terrific. Kieran Culkin. You don't hate any one of these characters at all. The fight scenes are so spectacular to watch. I mean, this is a film that just works on so many levels. And yet, it didn't make a single cent at the box office when it first came out. It came and went, and everyone thought it was going to be a big failure. This was Universal back at the time when they were really struggling to find some hits. And even the ones they had weren't enough to save the studio in general. I mean, yeah, they had the Fast and Furious movies, but they also had Despicable Me. But other than that, though, I mean, they had so many movies that flopped. And most of them were not bad movies. There were some good ones there. This is probably the best thing they did in that entire block. I mean, this is top-notch stuff. I don't have much more to say about this one that hasn't already been said already. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, easily one of the best movies of the year, tied with Toy Story 3 as the best film of the year. No question about it.
Troops assembled, sir! Good work, Sarge. All right, folks, let's go. We don't have much time. You heard him, man. Let's move some plastic. Both sides. Looking good. Good work, fellas. Whoa, hey, impressive. Oh, I can hardly wait. Other way, Rex. Slick, go long. Well, hurry up. Yes, dear.
My arms are getting tired.
Oh, great. I threw my back out. Hey, what do you think you're doing? I'm supervising. All right, keep it moving, keep it moving.
Look out, cowboy.
Jesse.
Oh.
Not too shabby, huh? Look at this. And you guys were worried. Didn't I tell you it'd look great, huh? Oh, Buzz, where the heck have you been?
Sorry, Woody. I've been up all night working on a little something.
Hey, wow! Oh, that's quality craftsmanship. Look at that.
Oh, it's nothing, really. Your basic vacuum-formed polycarbonate with a high-gloss sealer to bring out the shine.
Hey!
At least ours lit up. Oh. Well, that's just great.
I know!
Come on, Woody. You do it.
All right, fine.
There you go. Now that's impressive.
Yeah, I guess it does look pretty good.
I wouldn't have done it any different myself.
I saw that.
Was it just me, or did Woody and Buzz look a lot smaller in that room, in that trailer, compared to what they look like in the movies? Because it really does look like, I don't know if it's like a forced perspective thing or something, but it definitely felt like they were much smaller than they usually were. But maybe that's just my thinking on it. But anyway, welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 3 films released on June 18th, 2010. And we're starting off, of course, with Toy Story 3, the movie that 11 years it took to get this film made, and of course, the first 2 movies are classics, so this one had some pretty big shoes to fill. Do they fill it up? Let's find out. Andy is now 17 and going off to college, and he has to wonder what he plans on doing with the toys that he grew up with. The toys wonder themselves what will become of them, even though they know that they would come eventually. And he decides to put them in the attic, but his mom accidentally thinks it's trash, and the toys eventually land inside a donation box at Sunnyside Daycare, where the toys believe that they are going to get more playing time with the new kids, but they soon discover that not everything is as it seems at Sunnyside, and basically they become prisoners a la Great Escape type of prisoners inside the daycare, which leads to many things happening in the process, and just like the Great Escape, they have to figure out a way to obviously escape. And believe it or not, at the time when this movie was coming out, I really did not think that I was going to like this movie. I mean, I was really afraid that the trailers really weren't selling me on the movie per se. Plus, we just had How to Train Your Dragon come out, which was a very, very good movie. And I thought back then, this thing is going to have some really, really hard shoes to fill if it's going to be as good as good as this, or even as good as the other Toy Story movies. But yeah, the movie came out, and my fears were quickly evaporated because, yeah, this thing not only delivered everything I was asking for, but it exceeded my expectations. This is actually a tie with, I can't remember which one, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, for the best movie of the year. I mean, I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I mean, this is about as good of a trilogy as you can get, and I'm not gonna lie, when Andy, there's that great bit at the end of the movie, just the movie itself overall is great. It's great hearing all these voice actors back again. Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Joan Cusack, John Ratzenberger, Wallace Shawn. They got Blake Clark, who was a great character actor, who replaced Jim Varney, who died shortly after the last movie came out, or maybe just a little bit before then. But it's a pretty good replacement for him overall. And you got a lot of great new characters. I mean, come on, Jodie Benson. Well, she's back as Barbie, but Michael Keaton playing Ken. Talk about pitch-perfect casting right there. You got Ned Beatty as Lotso, Whoopi Goldberg, I'm trying to remember who else, Timothy Dalton, excuse me. I'm getting names all mixed up here. Timothy Dalton, Kristen Shaw, Jeff Garlin, Bonnie Hunt playing all these toys from Bonnie in general. And the film is very good. It delivers everything you can ask for, and then some of the great adventure film with these characters. Like, it really ups the ante. It really delivers everything it promises. It's a really, really entertaining movie. And it's not afraid to go dark when it needs to. I mean, the last, 25 minutes alone is filled with so much action and, like, emotions. It's just like the way they pulled it off so well. Like, you know, from them nearly getting killed from this fire that they're in, from this fiery pit of trash they're going into, to the bit at the end when Andy's giving up the toys to Bonnie. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I almost teared up watching it. I mean, it's something where it's just like, it's the perfect finale to that story. It's great seeing, you know, the tide turning and the baton being passed to this young kid, and it's a really, really effective scene. Even after all these years, it still gets me every time I see it. I mean, it's great to see these characters once again on the big screen. And it's one of the rare summer movies that has not been a huge disappointment, because a lot of the summer movies that have come out at that point were not the big hits overall. This isn't Iron Man 2. This isn't what was another bit disappointing movie? Robin Hood's kind of disappointment. I was gonna say, but then there's Shrek Forever After. But then again, Shrek Forever After actually did better than Shrek the Third did. So, yeah, the summer overall wasn't that strong for blockbusters in general, but this one stuck the landing big time. And again, you got a great script by Michael Arnott, who wrote one of my favorite movies from the last decade, Little Miss Sunshine. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm reading off my review from the website, but the visuals are still great to look at. They up the ante in terms of the graphical designs. I mean, they definitely look a lot different in the 15 years between the first movie and this film. And, you know, 9 years later, Toy Story 4 would continue to up the ante on the animation overall. The cast, once again, is great. And this is one of the better 2D, 3D movies that, like, this is one of the better looking 3D movies. I will say that it really wouldn't make a difference in any way, shape, or form if you watch it on either 2D or 3D. Either version works very well on its own. I mean, it works very well. This whole movie was just so good. And it really is one of the best movies of the year. Easily the best movie of the year. Even though it is kind of a tie with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which we will get to in about 2 months' time here when we get to August of 2010. But, what more can I say, man? Toy Story 3 is an absolutely incredible movie. It's a great end to a really good trilogy, which led to a pointless, but I still think it's still a good enough fourth film that came out 9 years later. I know a lot of people still don't like that one, but I still enjoy it. Toy Story 4 is still pretty solid overall. It's like the Kung Fu Panda 4 of the series in general, pretty much. But anyway, we'll get to that one eventually. But Toy Story 3, what more you gotta say? It's a classic. It's worth it. Definitely check it out. So,
and now, a special look at Due Date in theaters November 5th.
There you are. Looking just the same as you did last time I touched you.
know, rest areas have the nicest showers. The nicest showers.
If I miss the birth of my child, I'm gonna choke you out with your own scarf.
Seems a bit drastic. All right, Sonny. It's about to get rough. Are you okay? Looks like we made it. Left each other all the way
What's that sound? What sound?
Sonny, no. What the? Looks like we made it.
Have I told you that I love you, Carmen?
Look who's come around. And all I can take is love away. My water broke. Don't panic! Don't panic! I told you I was gonna get you home safe.
I'm gonna kiss you.
Stop, Peter! I'm driving! Well, you know what? I have coverage.
Due date.
My name is Ethan Tremblay. I'm your husband's best friend. Now, let's get that baby out of your bed.
Rated R. Starts November 5th.
Do not let that great trailer fool you. I know it's playing Barry Manilow's Looks Like We Made It in the background, and it plays so well with the antics of the movie. But when you see people like Sean Edwards of Fox TV praising this, that's your sign to abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Because anytime that guy's name is on one of those critic reels, you know the movie is going to be terrible. Sometimes he gets it right once in a while, but it is very few and far between. And Due Date, yeah, it's definitely one of those movies. One of those movies that is just like, yeah, no, this isn't for you. Stop me if you've heard what the plot of this, if you've heard this plot before. In Due Date, two guys, played by Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis, take a cross-country trip in order for Peter to see the birth of his child and for Ethan to head to Hollywood to make it big. Throughout the trip, they go through some crazy hijinks. You know, a movie similar to this could be something of like, oh, I don't know, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I mean, literally, it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, except for the Hangover audience, with more gross-out jokes and more stupid comedy and all the stuff that was supposedly taken out of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles that rightfully was needed to be taken out. And that's what this movie is. Just a bad rip-off remake of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. This is a film directed by Todd Phillips, who has made a lot of good movies and very rarely has missed the mark. I think School for Scoundrels at this point was his biggest misfire to date at that point. But no, I can easily say this is so far the worst thing he's directed so far. And we haven't even gotten to the second half of his tenure of movies here, because there's some bad ones there too, but yeah, this is pretty bad. I mean, Zach Galifianakis, who I liked in The Hangover and didn't mind him in G-Force, he's a straight-up asshole in this movie, and trying to be way too hard like Del Griffin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, he's trying to be like you, John Candy, with my pop figures back there. That's been there for a while now. That's not a coincidence that was just there for the sake of me talking about this particular film, but I'm sorry. In Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Candy could be an asshole at times, but he was still a likable character, and you felt sympathetic for him for his situation. The fact that he had been away from his home for nearly 10 years and on the road and just looking for somebody to be a friend with. You don't feel for Zach Galifianakis at all. He's pretty much predicting the future of his character in the Hangover movies, just being the obnoxious asshole, and kind of like what I said last month with It's Kind of a Funny Story. That was a great movie that showed what he can do as an actor, as a comedic actor, but no, people wanted to be the stupid, obnoxious jackass, and yeah, this thing is, in here, he's terrible. Everybody else in here is doing their parts very well. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is Robert Downey Jr., and Michelle Monaghan, hey, a reunion of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, another one of my favorite movies of all time. But a lot of the jokes just fall flat, and sometimes they are just really stupid and really pointless. Like, there's a scene where they go to the Mexican border, and for no particular reason, I got 3 good chuckles out of the movie. The biggest laugh being the scene where Jamie Foxx and Downey Jr. are driving through the drainage ditches, and Galifianakis goes jumping in the air, because you want to see that happen to this son of a bitch. And on top of that, they steal jokes from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Meet the Parents, Along Came Polly. You see the scene in the trailer where Robert Downey Jr. is sitting down at the airport, and there's a guy with his stomach out, like with hair and all that, like this right here. And I'm sorry for you folks out there that don't like to see skin, but hey, it could be a whole lot worse. I'm just telling you. I could be going further than that, but this is a family show. as I've been swearing a lot here, but we don't do that type of stuff here. I'm like a Chadwick Boseman in Avengers: Infinity War. We don't do that here. But anyway, back to Due Date. I don't know why I'm going off like that, but you gotta try my patience when you're stealing jokes from Along Came Polly and that unfunny one here. They even take parts from the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles script that were cut out for a reason. Like, there's a whole subplot about maybe Michelle Monaghan's fucking Jamie Foxx. See, I just swore again, but that's a plot element that was taken out of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where Steve Martin's wife thought he was cheating on her with Dell. And they took it out because they realized it was a completely pointless scene. Pointless subplot to the storyline here. This movie decided, no, we're going to put that in there. We think that's funny. And no, it's not. It's a scene that goes absolutely nowhere. It's completely pointless, and you just wasted your time doing that. I was really going into this with a lot of high expectations. I wanted this to be good. I liked everybody involved in it. But man, this thing, when you have the balls to try to do Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and do it this badly, I have no choice but to give you the equivalent of the middle finger here, which I don't know if I can do that on this channel, but yeah. Imagine there's a finger going up on one of these areas, and of course it's I almost did it. Of course it's this one right here, but you know exactly what you're talking about. You know exactly what I'm thinking of here, but yeah, that's what I have to say about Due Date. What a terrible movie. And they're still trying to remake Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. They tried to do it with Will Smith and Kevin Hart, and then that thankfully didn't go anywhere, but they're still trying to make it work, make a remake happen. Don't remake the classics. Remake the bad movies. Take the advice of Steve Martin. Have a point. It makes things so much more interesting for the listener, and for the viewer as well. I'm telling you to avoid Due Date like the plague, plain and simple.
They created her. They tried to stop her. They left her for dead.
Why am I not surprised?
But on September 10th,
Don't even think about it.
Alice
Let's get revenge on Umbrella.
is back in 3D.
Is that any way to treat a lady?
Resident Evil Afterlife in 3D. Rated R. In Real D 3D and IMAX 3D.
That is one crazy son of a...
No, but it is how you should treat actresses who can't take the hit that you're not threatening whatsoever as an action heroine, or somebody who can go up against zombies like these movies. But when you're fucking the director, that's pretty much it. Is you pretty much have free range to do whatever you want, apparently. But happy Independence Day, everybody, and welcome to Time About the Movies. This is being recorded on 4th of July, 2025, and I wish we had a better week to celebrate with, but no. 2 movies this week. Neither one of them really are that great, and especially if your biggest new release is Resident Evil Afterlife, then you know you're in deep shit, especially considering that Paul W.S. Anderson is back for this one after missing on the last 2 movies, so yeah, you get what you get here. Once again, Milla Jovovich's Alice searching for and rescuing the remaining survivors in Los Angeles after the T-virus outbreak, and teaming up against Albert Wesker, played by Sean Roberts, and the head of the Umbrella Corporation. Chris Redfield, played by Wentworth Miller, is featured for the first time in the franchise. Other characters from the last movies, as well as the game, Claire Redfield, played by Ali Larter, is back, and also Jill Valentine, who shows up in a cameo appearance, played by Sienna Guillory. But yeah, it's pretty much the other Resident Evil movies. These are movies that look like the games, but they don't feel like the games whatsoever. And boy, this one is one of the worst ones in the series, no question about it, because of just the fact that it's Paul W.S. Anderson back, and you know he literally only did this to show up, just to work with his wife, and basically do absolutely nothing in mirror whatsoever. This movie has so many scenes in here where the film itself is literally giving you the middle finger if you think you're going in here expecting a good Resident Evil movie. For example, this scene. The first time I ever saw that scene, all I could think to myself is, this is the cinematic equivalent of somebody giving you the middle finger. If you think you're going in for something that's Resident Evil, you're not getting that in this movie, not whatsoever. Yeah, that's how bad this movie is. This is a terrible movie. And shockingly enough, this was not one of those post-production 3D hell movies, so I don't get to use my graphics once again for this one, even though I really wanted to. But yeah, no, they used the same cameras that James Cameron used for Avatar, and the fact that they used it for this, and this is the best they could come up with, James Cameron should have just beat the shit out of him after this, because yeah, this is a terrible movie. This is a really, really bad film. There's way too many slow motion scenes in here. Like, you're not only ripping off Avatar, but you're also ripping off 300 of all things. It's just like with the slow motion, it's just like they're padding out the running time here. This thing's not even just a little over 90 minutes long, and you waste so much of your goddamn time just waiting for something to happen in this movie. And no, it's the same movie over and over again. Mila Jovovich teams up with a bunch of mercenaries, and they go around shooting zombies. That's it. That's the entire movie. There's nothing of value to this whatsoever. There's nothing of merit to it. There's nothing there. The only thing you can hope for now is the fact that, the Zach Cregger Resident Evil movie is coming out, and we've seen what this guy can do with Barbarian. Weapons is looking pretty good, so one can only hope that we are literally heading to a much better Resident Evil series in general with somebody who knows what he's doing. We hope. We hope that that's the case. We can get these god-awful movies out of our mindset and actually focus on making good video game movies with the Resident Evil series for once. But yeah, what more do I need to say? Resident Evil Afterlife, these movies just need to stay dead already. But unfortunately, we've got 2 more movies after this one. Actually 3 if you count Welcome to Raccoon City. Which, hey, prove that you don't need W.S. Anderson or Mila Jovovich to completely ruin a Resident Evil film in general. You just need a really bad movie, probably written by the studio. So anyway, that's Resident Evil Afterlife.
They're earrings.
In Ireland, a woman can propose to a man on leap day,
On January 8th.
I need a taxi to Dublin.
I'll drive you to Dublin.
Thank you.
Something unpredictable.
The car.
Something unavoidable.
You two are married, aren't you? It's Mr. and Mrs.
Okay.
Lovely.
Is becoming something
Naked. Here.
undeniable.
Anna!
Will you marry me?
Leap Year. Rated PG. In theaters January 8th.
Overall, the plot of this isn't really all that bad. You have a story where you have Amy Adams, who wants to be married to her boyfriend, played by Adam Scott, of course, from Step Brothers, and this was before he was on Parks and Recreation, but she decides to travel to Dublin to propose to her boyfriend on Leap Day, as Irish tradition allows. There's a tradition in Ireland where a girl can propose to her boyfriend in Ireland on Leap Day, and so she decides to go there, and there's problems with her getting there, so she ends up with this guy, Matthew Good, who basically doesn't really want to drive her there, but she's willing to pay him to do that. So, you could pretty much figure out where it's going to go from there. And it takes a plot that actually does sound really interesting. And these aren't made by hacks either. This is made by, the director of this is Anna Tucker, who did Shop Girl a couple years ago, which was really good, a very underrated Steve Martin, Claire Danes movie. And this is written by Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elfond. They've written a lot of good stuff, like Can't Hardly Wait, Josie and the Pussycats. So these aren't written by hacks overall, but the film itself just doesn't work. Not really because of the script in general. I mean, it is a standard formula romantic comedy, but it has a good idea to it where it could easily work. But sadly, the worst thing about the movie is that everybody in this movie is either a douchebag or they're just completely unlikable. Amy Adams is one of the most charismatic, charming actresses we have out there, and to see her in a movie like this where she's doing absolutely nothing, just playing the stock romantic comedy cliche character that anybody could have played, easily anybody could have played, and she's just not given a lot to do here. Her chemistry between her and Matthew Good, and even with her and Adam Scott, does not work well at all. It's just like, why do you want to be with either one of these people, honestly? The only one who really comes out of this relatively unscathed is John Lithgow, who plays her father, and Again, it's John Lithgow. I mean, the guy is an acting god. I mean, he can pretty much do anything and he can make it work. But it falls into those tropes that you just don't like. Every single romantic comedy cliche, like the one scene I always remember from this is when she goes to the airport and she wants to get to Dublin, and she's just like, no, you should find a way for me to get to Dublin. And it's just like, oh, let's go ahead and just do that. Would you get a private jet for this woman right away? And it's just like, how entitled do you have to be to get to that point? At that point, it's just like, you really need to think about what you're doing here. And it would be something if the guy she paired up with to take her to Dublin actually was someone interesting or actually was a nice person. But no, there's a point in the movie where she's getting undressed and he's just like, okay, I'll take you just to be desperate. And she's just like, get out. Just like, instead of just waiting for her to get fully clothed, it's just like, he just keeps going, just like, €500, like you said. It's just like, dude, get the fuck out of there. It's like, if anybody else was to do that, and this guy was not a handsome person, that guy would have been considered a creep and all that. But no, he's got to do it because he's the charming romantic lead who really is the one that she should be with. And it's just like, get the fuck out of here with that stuff. And even at the end, when they do the whole rom-com cliche thing, it's just kind of like, it feels really bland and pointless. And Adam Scott, like, he's one of those guys that's just like, as soon as you hear him say something like, hey bro, what's up? It's just like, okay, he's clearly the guy that you're not supposed to like in here. And it's just like, this film does not do anything new or different than we've seen done in any other movie like this. If the one thing I could say to this film's credit is that it's better than some of the bad romantic comedies from the year before, like Bride Wars, New in Town, The Ugly Truth. But even then, it's not really saying a whole lot because it's Bride Wars, New in Town, and The Ugly Truth. I mean, those were bad comedies. This is a bad comedy too, but a bad comedy that had a good idea, but it just can't make it work. I mean, it just can't make it work because the studio probably wanted them to do a straightforward, cheap romantic comedy without anything new or refreshing, and this is the end result of it. Plus, like I said, PG-rated romantic comedies in this time were almost never work at all. They are usually pretty bad, but there is two exceptions this year that we'll get to later on in May, because there are two PG-rated romantic comedies that actually did turn out to be really damn good. But again, we'll get to those in about 5 months' time here, but or in this case, 5 days' time. But actually, no. Well, 5 months from where we're at right now, we'll get to those ones. But so anyway, last leap year.
What the heck is that?
It's an ice cream truck, stupid.
He don't look that bad. Oh!
What's happening?
They're possessed. The weakest willed are the easiest to touch.
They're just regular people!
I'm Gladys Foster.
Not anymore!
Legion. Rated R, January 22nd.
Oh, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies. Yes, we are taking a look at the movies of January 22nd, 2010, and ladies and gentlemen, that's our first movie this week, and that is Legion, which follows a group of people as they attempt to protect an infant savior from angels and the possessed in an apocalypse. And yeah, if you're expecting me to take any of that seriously after showing me some of the stupidest looking creatures I have ever seen in my life, I mean, Demon Granny. That's all I have to tell you. Demon Granny looks fucking stupid. I mean, looks like the dumbest thing that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a horror movie. That their attempt to try to be scary and all that type of stuff, and it just doesn't work, man. And the worst part is, there's a good cast involved in this movie. You got Paul Bettany, Lucas Black, Tyrese Gibson, Adrian Padalecki, Kate Walsh, Dennis Quaid, Charles Dutton. There are a lot of notable names in this movie, good names in here, but they're just given nothing to do in here. And I'm sorry, if this was your attempt to try to scare people, you failed miserably, because you'll be laughing more than I did watching this movie. I mean, you saw how bad it was. I couldn't even get through the first 10 seconds without butting in the trailer there, because it's just like, Dennis Quaid's just like, what the heck is that? It's just like, it's an ice cream truck, stupid. You don't know what an ice cream truck is? Seriously? Like I said, you'll be laughing more at the stupidity of some of these creatures than the actual scares in this movie. I mean, the kid at the end of that trailer, too, it's just like, come on, man, like, you gotta be smarter than that. And if the movie was just a so bad as good type of a film, like something on the lines of an Evil Dead movie, I would probably recommend it. But nope, it can't even do that, because we gotta have all these huge points of dialogue that have no purpose to the story whatsoever, and are just thrown in there so it can seem like this is much more important than it has to be. And no, there's nothing important going on in this movie. It's just the fact that Paul Bettany is the lead star of the movie, and you barely saw him in that trailer there. They didn't care about telling a story. They didn't care about doing anything. They knew the film was going to flop. So let's just say, screw it. Let's put some of the stupidest moments in there and try to trick people into scaring them, which you failed miserably at that, because you'll be laughing more at this movie than you'll be terrified. At least that's what happened with me when I saw it. So yeah, I think we can pretty much sum up that one as a bad movie. Legion, not a good horror movie at all. So let's go ahead and keep digging into the shit pile, ladies and gentlemen.
Sociology majors.
I'm undecided.
About what?
Everything. This girl, her life seeped into me.
My dad doesn't know what's going on right now.
You're kind of lost, aren't you? I'm not going anywhere. If I knew you could hear me, I would say our fingerprints don't fade from the lives we touch.
Remember Me, rated PG-13, in theaters March 12th.
So in Remember Me, this is a romantic drama set in New York City where you have a man named Tyler, who's a rebellious young guy, and he meets a girl named Allie, played by Emile DeRaven of Lost fame, through a twist of fate. Her spirit helps him heal after a family tragedy, though soon the circumstances that brought them together threaten to tear them apart. Now, a lot of the reasons for this movie being so bad is not all the way around. The overall movie itself, it's just kind of bland and generic, and you know, we know that Robert Pattinson can act. I mean, we've seen it in Tenet, we've seen it in The Batman, we saw it recently with Mickey 17, but, you know, the thought was that once you take him out of Twilight, the acting chops are going to come back into full force here, and not in this movie. I mean, he proved it in this film that he had no acting chops or charisma whatsoever. He's kind of sleepwalking through this performance where he's just getting by off of his good looks, and that's it. And at the time, when you watch him in this movie, he's just a plank of wood. He's worse than a plank of wood. Plank from Ed and Nettie could act better than this guy did. I mean, he was up there with Henry Cavill in terms of actors with no acting chops whatsoever. But then again, the other actors aren't doing a bad job either. I mean, it's just bad material given to them. The whole thing is about, with Emile DeRaven's fine here. Chris Cooper, pretty much channeling the same character from American Beauty. I mean, he's pretty much the same thing. He's like the abusive father. And Pierce Brosnan, I mean, you thought Mamma Mia was him overacting and going a little too over the top. Wait until you get a load of this.
Who the hell do you think you're talking to? You pedal down here on your bike, for Christ's sake. You're gonna take care of nothing. You're responsible for no one. You're a kid. You think you're the first one to lose anything? You think that whatever you feel in your heart, I don't also feel it in mine?
Had to take that from the Spill review, but you get the idea. Like, the guy is just, like, it's overacting meets underacting in that scene in particular, because you got Pierce Brosnan going like, "Who the hell do you think you're talking to? Let me go ahead and raise my voice so you know how serious I am," because raising your voice clearly shows how serious you are in that situation. But the overall script overall is not helping them either. It's your typical melodramatic drama that you would see in a Lifetime movie. I swear, if it didn't have the actors in this movie, this would have been something you would have seen on Lifetime as the movie of the week. But let's just get to the biggest problem with the movie, the nitty-gritty about why this movie is as bad as it is. And the movie has, without a doubt, the absolute worst ending for a movie you will ever see in your entire life. So, the father of Tyler, played by Pierce Brosnan, drops his younger sister off, Carolyn, at his school. She sits in a classroom where the teacher writes the name on the blackboard. I specifically forgot to mention in this plot synopsis that this takes place in the summer of 2001. Not the summer of 2001, well, pretty much the summer of 2001, but then she writes the date on the board, and it says September 11th, 2001. Your first thought to yourself is, they're not going to do what I think they're going to do here, are they? And then the very next scene is Robert Pattinson looking out the window of his father's office, which is revealed to be the location of the 101st floor of the North Tower of the World Trade Center, and once the 9/11 terrorist attacks begin, the rest of the family looks at the towers before the camera pans over the rubble, showing Tyler's diary in a voiceover that says that he revealed to Michael that he loves him, his father, of course, Michael, and he forgives him for killing himself. Tyler is buried next to Michael. Actually, Michael wasn't the name of his father. No, it's not the name of his father. Get this. Let me just go ahead and read this again, because there was a subplot there was a thing earlier in the movie where, you know, the girl that he meets, Mildred Raven Allie, you know, she has a tattoo of her brother Michael. And, you know, we find out that Michael and Tyler were brothers, and Tyler reveals to Michael that he loves him, and he forgives him for killing himself, and Tyler is buried next to Michael. And then sometime later, Caroline and Charles seem to have a healthy father-daughter relationship. Aiden, who has since gotten a tattoo of Tyler's name on his arm, is working hard in school as Allie gets on the subway at the same spot where her mother was killed. I'm sorry, but no. Hell no. If I could channel Tracy Morgan from Cop Out earlier in the week, no. No. Hell no. No. I refuse. No. No. Like, you do not get to use a tragic event like September 11th for not one, but two cheap emotional ploys. I mean, mother of God. This is the reason why this movie is terrible. This movie is so lazy that it has to resort to using such a horrendous event in our country's history as a manipulative emotional ploy. Fuck that shit. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot use September 11th as the centerpiece of a story, but have a purpose to it being there. We've had movies about the September 11th attacks. World Trade Center, United 93, great movies. We've had movies centering around the storyline involving the 9/11 attacks. 25th Hour, Reign Over Me, great movies. What they do here is so despicable and so pathetic. This movie fails so miserably because it ends on the most heinous and most disheartening way to get an emotional impact out of you. Excuse me. A good story should never have to rely on such a tragic day in our history to get a cheap emotional ploy out of you. The story itself should just do that. And that just means that the scriptwriter, this Jenny Lumet, the daughter of Sidney Lumet, by the way, has no intention on ending this on a good enough note and just did it because they got lazy or the studio forced them to do it, which, let's be honest, it's Summon Entertainment. This is the company that literally is this. It's the place that Twilight built, and if you had seen some of their bad movies they put out that year, which there was a lot of them, that's probably what ended up happening. But that's the reason why this is one of the worst movies ever made. This movie is so unbelievably bad just for that moment there. The first 3/4 of the movie are just a bland, lame, melodramatic drama, but it's that final act that just destroys any hope this movie had of becoming something relevant or something that's watchable, using a historical event as a cheap emotional ploy. I'm getting frustrated just thinking about how bad it is. Like, that's how you know you fucked up big time, when you have to resort to that level of idiocy, stupidity. Just, God, I hate this movie so much. I hate this movie so much. Remember Me is a bad film, one of the worst movies of that decade, and yeah, it's just a bad movie. Just a bad, bad movie.
Today, a Russian agent will kill the president. The name of the agent is Evelyn Salt.
My name is Evelyn Salt.
Then you are a Russian spy.
Somebody is setting me up!
Salt!
You got me?
She had the drop on me. Why didn't she shoot?
You think everyone is who they say they are?
Salt.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the two new releases on July 23rd, 2010. And of course the biggest of the two releases is Angelina Jolie in Salt, in which she plays Evelyn Salt, a CIA agent who's framed as a Russian spy and sent to take out the Russian president at the funeral of the American vice president. She has to clear her name before the CIA takes her in, which sounded like a cool idea back before the movie came out, but I remember really not liking this movie back then. In fact, I downright hated it. I hated it because of a number of different things I'm going to bring up here because, let's be honest, I tried to give this a fair shot. It's been 15 years since I've seen this movie. I don't remember really liking it all that much. I had no reason to go back to watch it. But considering that 15 years had passed, I figured why not give it another shot. So I got a chance to watch it again. And sadly, my thoughts on it really have not changed on it. I mean, it's a cool idea for a movie, and it's directed by the guy who made Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, The Saint. Philip Noyce is a great action director, and so is Angelina Jolie. She's badass. I mean, how can this possibly be bad whatsoever? Well, unfortunately, it's bad, but also it's really boring. It's it's just a bad movie. It's a really, really bad film. First of all, like I said, they don't even hide the fact that she's a Russian spy. Like, they tell you right from the get-go, she doesn't even try to hide it. Like, in the first 20, 30 minutes of the movie, she's already revealed to be this Russian spy, and it's just like, I mean, there's no point in clearing your name anymore, because you literally just said that you were, and you've changed your whole identity altogether, and, I mean, that's the first thing that's wrong with it. The second thing is that the stuff that should be cool about this movie, the non-action sequences are bland and boring as hell. I don't buy any character in this movie whatsoever. You can tell who the bad guy is going to be right away just by the specific moves he makes. Like, the action sequences are not that great either. This is the same guy that made Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, and The Saint. A good action director should not be making action sequences this uninteresting and boring. And even the acting overall isn't that great. It's just... And don't even get me started on that ending. The ending is where the film just really falls off the cliff here. And it's just like, they really ran out of ideas for this right away. They had the idea of Angelina Jolie is playing a Russian spy, and it's got we got director Philip Noyce. The rest will write itself, and sadly that is not the case here. But there's only two things I can say that are really good about it. Angelina Jolie and Chiwetel Ejiofor. I thought both of them worked off each other very well. I thought they were very good in their respective roles, and you believe those characters. But other than that, though, everybody else in here was just so boring. It's a very convoluted plot where too much is going on, where something like this should be as simple as you can get, and the action sequences should be much better than you think they would be. And just like, there's just no excuse for how bad this is. I mean, this is unbelievably awful. It's a movie that I really was expecting a lot more from, and I'm thinking, it's been 15 years. Hopefully, maybe it's aged like a fine wine. It has not aged well at all. It still is about as bad, as boring as you can get. What more can you say, man? It's a pile of garbage. It's a movie that has not held up well. I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and it completely screwed me over on that. So yeah, Angelina Jolie, you made better movies than this, but this is just going too far, man. This is just not a good movie. And so that's all for you.
Have you seen what's happening out there? Have you even bothered to look?
They need to be reminded of the order of things. Turn them on each other.
One day, somebody's gonna have to make a stand. One day, somebody's gotta say enough.
I do this. I do it as a man. But you are not just a man.
Release the Kraken!
Welcome to Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the first three films of April 2010, April 2nd to be exact, and we are starting off with the first installment of a new series that I like to call Post-Production 3D Hell. Just pretend there's like thunder and like a mix in the background. I'll do it later on in post-production, but yeah, but this is definitely one of those movies that suffered mightily because of that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, post-production 3D or post-conversion 3D was a trend that happened because digital 3D was becoming the norm in the late 2000s, and especially the early part of the 2010s because of movies like the films we talked about before, stuff like B-Movie, Beowulf, Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, U2 3D, The Jonas Brothers, Monsters vs. Aliens, Up, and most notably, Avatar, Alice in Wonderland. These movies that were being... G-Force is another example. Movies that were using these 3D cameras to make the film feel like you're actually part of the 3D in general. And so other studios saw the successes of what Avatar and Alice in Wonderland were doing and basically said, we can do the same thing with our movie. Sir, we already shot our movie. It doesn't matter. Do you see what's popular right now? How to Train Your Dragon just came out. So you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to push back our movie from March 26th to the start of April so we can get a head start on this because we know that we're going to make a lot of money with the 3D in this case. But, yeah, spoiler alert, that didn't really work out well. And we're going to get to several of these over the next couple of years. So, behold the first entry in post-production 3D hell, Clash of the Titans. Perseus, played by Sam Worthington, the mortal son of the god Zeus, played by Liam Neeson, embarks on a perilous journey to stop the underworld and its minions from spreading their evil to earth as well as the heavens. And going into this movie, I didn't really think much about it, because it's like, oh, it's going to be in 3D, so it's probably going to be like Avatar, Alice in Wonderland, or How to Train Your Dragon, but no. Not this movie. This is the definition of what happens when you do post-conversion 3D, and it looks as bad as this does here, because good lord, this movie was bad. Not only was the film bad, but to have it look as bad in 3D as it did, I mean, this is unbelievable. And actually, come to think of it, I didn't even see this in 3D. I only saw it in 2D, which I'm just remembering now, because I'm reading my review here from back in the day to give you the review that I have here, but yeah, I didn't see this in 3D, so I can only imagine how bad this movie could possibly be in 3D. But either way, it didn't matter because it still sucked, and in the end, I ended up using a free movie ticket, so it didn't really cost me anything, honestly. But at the same time, I still felt like I got ripped off watching this movie. I mean, the majority of the visuals in this are just god-awful, all except for the Kraken, which, yeah, that was the big selling point of this movie, and admittedly, yes, it looked badass, but unfortunately, it's in for 2 minutes of a 2-hour movie. It's not worth it. It is not worth it at all. The Kraken wasn't the only thing I liked in there. I did like Sam Worthington, even though it was nowhere near what he did with Terminator Salvation or Avatar. I thought he was passable in here. I thought he did a pretty good job. Gemma Arterton, who was kind of a rising star in the making, she'll have Prince of Persia in a couple weeks, and then later in the year she'll have Tamara Drew. I thought she was fine in here. Liam Neeson and Ray Fiennes are fine for what they're doing. They're great actors. They're established actors. But other than that, though, that's about it. I mean, there's really nothing about this movie that makes it watchable at all. 3 things in particular really bugged the hell out of me about this movie. And I mean, I've seen the original. The original is fun for what it is. It's a good fun time overall. But the original was a classic compared to what this was trying to do. Like, one of the 3 things really bugged me about this movie. One, there was that scene with the crazy guy that consistently keeps trying to sacrifice Andromeda, played by Alexis Davalos, to the Kraken, and I get it. They can sacrifice. I understand they got to sacrifice the princess to save Argos, but the guy just kept going on and on and on about it because he consistently tries to get the people to sacrifice him, and they basically, and it got on my nerves because they do it mostly because they probably want this guy to shut the fuck up because he kept doing it the entire movie over and over and over again. Also, hands turn into giant crab-like creatures, which is really fucking stupid. I mean, this has got to be one of the dumbest things ever. Like, this is the worst thing I've seen done to a hand since Hulk Hogan tore somebody's hand off with an envelope in Suburban Commando, and it turned him into an alien. Like, that literally happens in that movie. And that was a movie clearly made to be silly fun. This is supposed to be taken seriously. And then the ending. The ending of this movie where Zeus asks Perseus to consider joining him in the gods, but decides to stay on Earth, and then he resurrects Io, who was killed by Calibos after Perseus got Medusa's head. And so, here's the thing. Zeus can bring people back from the dead, then why doesn't he just use that power to bring back Perseus' human family from the dead as well? Why? Why not do that? Since you're able to bring people back from the dead, why don't you just do the same thing to his family? It's just like I keep thinking back to that terrible comic Marvel, the one that Lynn Caro did on top of Fourth Wall, which made no sense whatsoever. It started off as like a parody of superhero comics and then turned into this existential crisis of the writer of that book. There's a part in there where the parents Ted Turner is just like, why didn't you why are you sending your kid into the past? It's just like, so it'll give him a great sense of responsibility. It's just like, when you see that in there, it's just kind of like, yeah, you clearly had no idea what the fuck you were doing here. And sure enough, in this movie, they have no idea what the fuck they're doing in here. And this made Percy Jackson and the Olympians look like a better remake of Clash of the Titans than this garbage did. And this is the guy that directed The Incredible Hulk, the one that came out 2 years ago, which was great. But this is just a pile of rubbish. I mean, this is absolutely horrible. And even if I'd seen this in 3D, it would still be terrible. I can't imagine how bad some of the effects would have looked in 3D had I gone to the 3D screening of this, but I didn't. I went to this one, and I even regretted going to this one. So yeah, it's one of the worst remakes ever. Clash of the Titans, it just didn't work. It just did not work at all. So.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
I mean, yeah, they did a great job of selling the movie over a year before it came out. That was put out in front of Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. I mean, they were building this up as to be the next big blockbuster. And it's such a good trailer, too. Like, you have Aang inside of this temple, and then he's blowing all this air out, and you see all these people coming up to try to kill him, all these ships coming to kill him. Like, it sounds like they're heading in the right direction. And then you see the movie, and you get a movie that is one of the biggest insults to a series that I've ever seen in my entire life. I have delved into this movie in length. This is my 7th worst movie that I've ever seen in my life, so I won't really go too much into it. I'll just kind of give you a sum up here. I mean, this is basically just a Cliff Note version of the first season, where the world is divided into 4 kingdoms, each represented by the elements they harness, and under the supervision of the Avatar, a piece that lasted there, a link to the spirit world, and the only being capable of mastering the use of all 4 elements. When the young Avatar Aang disappears, the Fire Nation launches an attack to eradicate all members of the Air Nomads. And later on down the road, siblings Katana and Sokka from the Southern Water Tribe find a mysterious boy trapped beneath the ice outside their village. He's revealed to be Aang, Avatar and the last of the Air Nomads. Swearing to protect the Avatar, Katara and Sokka journey with him to the Northern Water Kingdom in his quest to master waterbending, and eventually fulfill his destiny of once again restoring peace to the world. But as they inch nearer to the goal, this group must evade Prince Zuko, the exiled son of Lord Ozawa, Commander Zhao, the Fire Nation's military leader, and the tyrannical onslaught of the evil Fire Lord himself. Which they show in the movie, and if you've seen the series, you know that this thing, they grabbed a great actor. Cliff Curtis is a good actor, but he is not threatening as the Fire Lord like Mark Hamill's character was in the show. And that's the biggest problem with this. And like Shyamalan has said, he's a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I mean, he had it in the last movie he did, The Happening, as like a little as a backpack, as one of the in there. So he's trying to make the argument that he clearly knows what he's doing because he loves the series, and you know, everyone's waiting to see what he can do that's completely different from his usual works. And I'll say this, it is completely different from his usual works because it's even more of a shittier movie than a lot of the worst movies he's ever made. I mean, what more can you say? This is fucking awful. This guy, who claims to be a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, doesn't even know how powerful the nations are here, the abilities of these people are doing. Like, they show scenes where, you know, they have these groups of people together, and they're about to do an attack, and they throw one rock at the Fire Nation. When in the show, that same group was able to blow up a fucking tank. How do you go from blowing up a tank to throwing one measly rock? Like, and the problems are just all over the place, from the fact that he has these pronunciations for all the characters. I'm sorry, it's not Katara and Sokka, it's supposed to be Katara and Sokka. Like, it's something like that. And, you know, General Iroh, like General Iroh, like that type of stuff. And it's just like, none of it makes any sense whatsoever. And the actors they get to play these characters are so wooden and so bland. Like, oh my god, can you please just fucking emote for once in your life? And you know the movie doesn't take itself seriously, where you literally have a character who has hair like a penis. Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you've seen this movie. Like, one scene in the movie is the perfect definition of how much this guy has no idea what the fuck he's doing. This is absolutely one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is coming from somebody who never saw the show before this, and it made me want to see the show afterwards, to really see how much of a screw-up this was. I mean, it was like that with The Dark Knight a couple years ago. I never saw Batman the Animated Series until I watched The Dark Knight. And I did. I ended up really loving that show after that point. This made me give Avatar: The Last Airbender a lot more praise to it, and actually made me realize that, yeah, there is a lot of potential for some good materials here, but good lord, not with this guy here. I'm fully convinced M. Night Shyamalan made this movie and claimed to be the big fan it was because he got so scared. He was so much of a chicken because somebody was able to make him a better material than anything he could have ever done. I'm more than 100% convinced that M. Night Shyamalan did this on purpose to make The Last Airbender look like a terrible piece of entertainment, which it's not. If you've never seen this show, if you've never seen The Legend of Korra, watch the shows themselves. You can avoid the live-action Netflix show, because that one doesn't really do it a whole lot better, but what more do you got to say about this? The Last Airbender is a steaming pile of garbage. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. I've gone into this in great detail before. The video's out there on this channel. You can go check that out, but what more do you got to say? M. Night Shyamalan, fuck you for ruining The Last Airbender for so many people, but hey, there is a positive to this. More people ended up loving that show because of what M. Night Shyamalan did. So I guess there's that. I mean, you gotta have the yin to your yang in this situation, or a con to a pro, whatever metaphor you want to use here.
You're telling me to go pick up my ex-wife and bring her to jail?
The director of Hitch.
You're a bounty hunter.
You have got to be kidding me! You cannot be serious!
I won't even break a sweat.
Keep your enemies close.
There's a black SUV that's been following us. They may want to kill me.
What the hell have you got yourself into?
Now you're interested.
Keep your ex.
You trying to seduce me?
Yeah. Closer.
That's the hardest thing about me. That would be my gun.
The Bounty Hunter. In theaters March 19th.
Once again, I've kind of touched on this movie in the past already, so if you want to see my full thoughts on this movie and how much I hate this, there's a link in the corner, link down in the description. But The Bounty Hunter. Gerard Butler stars as a struggling bounty hunter, and Jennifer Aniston is his bail-jumping ex-wife. And much to his glee, he gets to go ahead and take her in. And of course, it begins this crazy, wacky adventure where, you know, they have to go. She has to take him in, and then there's this big subplot about these guys that are coming after her, and it's a terrible movie. It's a god-awful movie, and it just doesn't work because everybody in, again, kind of like with A Wimpy Kid, everybody in here is so stupid. Even the people I like in here, Gerard Butler and Jennifer Aniston, and the director Andy Tennant, they couldn't save this movie. This whole thing is a colossal clusterfuck. I mean, the script overall is all over the place, and the climax at the end of the movie, the decision he makes at the end of the movie, where he takes her in, but he decides, he loves her so much, he's gonna go punch a cop so he can spend the rest of his life in jail. I'm sorry, but no, I'm not buying into that bullshit. Like, this is a terrible movie. This is a god-awful film. Again, I've gone into greater details about this, so, I mean, I don't want to go ahead and delve into this again, but, hey, if you want to see my thoughts on this movie again, once again, link up there, link up there.
Are you sure you don't want me walking in?
Mom!
Okay.
Mom.
Have a great day, sweetie pie!
Let me just say for the record that middle school is the dumbest idea ever invented.
This place is an intellectual wasteland.
You got kids like me who haven't hit their throats split yet, mixed in with gorillas who have to shave twice a day.
Based on the best-selling book.
Don't talk to anyone. Don't look at anyone. Don't sit down.
So not happening.
Who am I kidding? You'll be dead or homeschooled by the end of the year anyway.
Thank you for those words of motivational wisdom. 20th Century Fox presents Greg.
Our girls say that Bryce Anderson has a cute butt. A butt can't be cute. It's a butt. There's Bryce. Just be cool. Hey, Bryce. Yeah, hey, Bryce. Cute butt.
Rowley.
This one, we burned. It was a present from my mom. Well, then your mom is trying to get you killed.
Patty.
Make your move! She's a girl. Where do I grab her?
Sherrod.
Stop! Joel almost got the cheese duck.
Fredley.
Want to see my secret freckle? Yeah. It's got a hair in it.
Roderick.
Why did I tell you what happened if you ever went in my room again? I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Let go, baby hippo.
Manny. And Coach Malone.
You guys are going to be shirts, and you will be skins.
Why are we skins? He's just trying to make kids like us feel bad. What do you mean kids like us?
My name is Valentine Buxton. What's yours?
Comedy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of March 19th, 2010, and wouldn't you believe that we have not one, but two of the worst movies that I have ever seen in my entire life to kick this show off. We have our first film right here, number 23 on my list of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Based off, of course, of the children's books of the same name. And to Greg Hefferly, middle school is the dumbest idea ever invented. It's a place rigged with hundreds of social landmines, not the least of which are morons, wedgies, swirlies, bullies, lunchtime banishment to the cafeteria floor, and a festering piece of cheese with nuclear cooties. To survive the never-ending ordeal and attain the recognition and status he feels he so richly deserves, Greg devises an endless series of can't-miss schemes, all of which, of course, go awry. And he gets it all down on paper via a diary. It's not a diary, it's a journal, Greg insists, preferring the less sissified designation, filled with his opinions, thoughts, and tales of family trials and tribulations, and would-be schoolyard triumphs. One day when I'm famous, I'll have better things to do than answer people's stupid questions all day. So was born the Wimpy Kid's diary. Yeah, as you pretty much already know, I've covered this in great detail. I've talked about this one in, no, I don't think I covered this in the top 20, in the worst movies I've seen in the last 20 years, but I have covered this in detail on the top 30 worst movies list. So if you want to hear my full thoughts on that, I'll leave a link to it up in the corner so you can go check that out. But what more do I got to say about this film that I have already said? Like, this movie is terrible. This is a god-awful movie, and I like the books overall. I like the books because I like the cartoon designs. I thought maybe if you made it into an animated movie, this could turn out great, and luckily they did make these into animated movies. They were great animated movies on Disney+. I thought they were a whole lot better than these god-awful live-action movies. You don't like anybody in this movie. You don't like the kid. He has the main kid in here who has the worst luck in the world. His best friend ruins every plan he has. A girl consistently beats the shit out of him. His brother's a dick. His parents are assholes. I mean, they're basically the stock parents who are just like, oh, we love our son, and we're gonna show that we love him, even though we're gonna embarrass his ass at school all the time. You know, he gets blamed for stuff he doesn't even do. He has to deal with a freaky kid with hair on one of his freckles. And the fact that this movie has the nerve to go to side with everybody but him. No, I'm sorry. He has it right because everyone around him are just assholes. They're complete and utter assholes. And I'm sorry, I have no sympathy for anybody in this movie. I hated everybody in here. I hate all the characters. I don't like the way the actors are being forced into here. It's a terrible movie. The only person who comes out of this relatively unscathed is Chloe Moretz, who is going to have a really good year because next month she'll be starring in Kick-Ass, which that'll get to show a lot more of her talents overall. But it's a bad Nickelodeon TV movie blown up for the big screen. I've gone into greater detail about this film in particular, so if you want to hear my thoughts on that, once again, link in the corner, link in the description below. So